The new bear at school. The day at Miss Cluck said there was going to be a new animal. Everyone was very excited when Miss Cluck said that the new animal was a bear. The animal squealed with delight. The rabbit wondered if it might be a fluffy pink bear, like the one on her lunchbox. Maxwell the mole wanted a floppy brown bear with velvet paws. The mice hoped for a bear in Wellington and a blue coat. Fergus, the fox cub, thought any teddy bear could be just fine. So when the classroom door opened and Miss Cluck introduced Boris, everyone screamed. Boris wasn't a teddy bear. He was an enormous, hairy, scary grizzly bear. Miss Cluck told Boris she'd give him in form tomorrow and found him in a seat next to Maxwell. But as he sat down, there was a loud crack. It made Maxwell hide his face in his paws. "Oh, Boris," said Miss Cluck, "why don't you sit down on the floor?" Miss Cluck gave Boris a new book and pencil. He was very proud indeed. With a big friendly grin, Boris turned to show the mice. But Boris forgot how fierce his teeth were. He forgot how big his paws were. And he forgot how sharp his claws are. Somehow, the mice got scattered across the classroom. Somehow, pages of his new book got ripped. Somehow, there was panic everywhere. "Boris is too big," cried one little mouse. "Boris is too hairy," yelled another Boris. "Boris is too scary." They all squeaked together. "Oh, Boris," said Miss Cluck, "please try to be more careful." At lunchtime, everyone sat together. There was not enough room on the bench for Boris, but nobody moved over. So he sat all by himself, tipped his big ball into the large jar of honey his mommy packed him. When lunchtime was over, Miss Cluck said everyone could go off and play. The mice began a game of hide and seek. 1, 2, 3. Everybody ran to find a place to hide. But Boris was too big, so Boris shut his eyes and continued instead. 1, 2, 3, coming to get you, Boris boomed. "Eek, stop, no. Maxwell ran crying. "Let's go inside and play some quiet games," said Miss Cluck. And Boris tried to be less scared. Animals sat in a circle. There was no place for Boris. Boris had nobody to play with and no one to talk to. Tears filled his big brown eyes, rolled down his long nose and splashed to the ground. "I'm a scary bear," he sniffed. "I'm a hairy bear," he sobbed. "I'm just a great big grizzly bear." It seemed like a very long afternoon. At least it was time to go home. Miss Cluck stood and waved at his animals, set off through the woods. The cheetah hopped along the bank. Maxwell scarped through the leaves. Fergus chased the little mice around the tree. Boris crawled around far behind. Suddenly, from a hollow tree lip, the rat pack. "Oh well, if it isn't the crybaby," said the meanest rat. The cheetah, Maxwell, Fergus, and the mice trembled while the rat circled around them. The rat didn't see Boris flopping around the path. All Boris could see was lots of excitement ahead. He wanted to join the fun. Boris stood up tall, greet the new friends with his biggest wideness. Bear grinned and, "Yikes, it's a bear, a hairy bear. Help, it's a scary bear. Quick run, it's a hairy, scary grizzly bear." The rotten rats ran away as fast as they could. "But I only wanted to say hello," said Boris. When Boris turned around, the other animals cheered. "Boris is a hairy bear," they sang. "Boris is a scary bear," they chatted. "We're so glad that Boris is a grizzly bear." Suddenly, Boris felt very shy. "You're going to be a bear," he said very gently. "Then it's probably best to be a hairy, scary grizzly bear." The next day at school, the animals couldn't wait to tell Miss Cluck how Boris had saved us from our the nasty rat. Oh, Boris, said Miss Cluck, what a good bear you are. At story time, everybody rushed together, gathered around Miss Cluck. There wasn't much room once Boris sat down, but the rest of the class didn't mind one little bit. They all had a soft, warm place to sit after all. The end.